No? Okay, I want to thank you for coming. In case you didn't notice, there are little boxes with lights on your tables. We are recording the workshop, so if you would not like to be heard in the recording, you can push the button on the bottom and it'll turn red. But I will ask that if you raise your hand to ask a question, you go ahead and turn it back on so we can capture the question and the answer for historical purposes. Okay? Lisa, can you turn the I want to welcome you all here today. My name is Nancy McPhee, and I'm with the Visitor and Convention Bureau, Manager of Product Development, and we are here today for the Attractions Marketing Workshop for those of you that want to seek fiscal year 18 funding. Fiscal year 18 opens in October, so this would be for funding marketing placements during the fiscal year beginning in October 1st through September 30th of next year. I want to thank Ashley Skalecki from the Community Foundation. As you know, those of you that have applied in the past, the Community Foundation administers the program for us. I think the program's been in existence since the late 90s. I'm not sure, I'm not sure when you guys stepped in, but it started to enhance the arts with probably $75,000 in Tourist Development Council funds. It has grown significantly since then. Along the way, we've had some partners. We've had the Community Foundation as a contributing partner. They moved the funding that they used to contribute to this program to their other program, which the name of that is?
Community Impact Grant.
Community Impact Grant. And some of you are familiar with how they manage that and the whole tribe system. And that was in an effort to make sure arts were integrated into those projects. The City of Fort Myers has been a contributor over the years. Each year, they contribute a small amount, and we appreciate that. Do we know if they're contributing for next year? Okay, so we're unsure whether they're contributing yet. However, that doesn't matter because the Tourist Development Council loves this program. It is funded through the bed tax. Those of you that are new to this workshop this year, the bed tax is what we collect in Lee County, 5% on short-term accommodations. And we then use the funding that we collect in a variety of ways. This program is funded through the percent, the 53.6%, that goes to advertising and promotion. And that is the job of the Bureau. We are the lead marketing agency to promote Lee County to the world. And so the piece of funding for attractions marketing comes out of that pot. And this will show you where how much we've spent over the years. I'm not sure why that little thing is right there, but the attractions piece is right here. So $3.9 million since fiscal year 2000 has been allocated to attractions in Lee County. This year, the funding available is $350,000. That's up from last year. Each year for the last 3 or 4 years, the Tourist Development Council has allowed us to manipulate our advertising budget to give a little bit more to this program. It's very important what you do to enhance the visitor experience in Lee County. We recognize that some of the smaller attractions perhaps aren't luring people here, but what you do is very important. They're not coming here to lay their head on the pillow. They have rainy days. They have a need to see cultural activities. I think the percentage is 34% of visitors want to enhance their experience wherever they go in the world with some type of cultural experience. So this gives you a breakout of how we've spent the marketing dollars, which again, it's $350,000 this year for attractions, $200,000 for events. Our events marketing program has already launched. It launched in March, and the deadline to apply for events marketing funding is coming up in May. That is a program that funds an average of 8 to 10 events a year, but the program is very strict. You have to have multiple days, you have to do your event during the need period, and you have to place your marketing placements outside of Lee County, significantly further outside, 2-hour drive outside. So that is in an effort to drive room night. The attractions marketing program is just a little bit less strict. However, for those of you that have been applying over the years, the last 3 years we've increased the reporting that we've asked you to do. We've suggested that you count at your attractions and find out who your visitors are, where they're coming from. That allows you to make a better decision on where to place your marketing, who your demographic is, where they're coming from, what age they are. So Again, the difference between the two programs is outlined here. I'm going to just focus on the Arts and Attractions program. You are allowed through this program to apply for funding to place marketing anytime during the year, because we realize most of you have events and programs that are happening throughout the year, not just in the summer when it's slower. You're able to spend some of that funding locally, local ad placements, and we allow for that in this program because the VCB is not allowed to do that. We are by law not allowed to spend the bulk of the marketing budget that we have locally, because that does not stimulate room nights by just advertising in Lee County. So everything we do is beyond other places in Florida, beyond Florida and the United States, and throughout the world. The grant program that this workshop is overviewing is non-reimbursable, meaning you get the money up front as soon as the fiscal year opens. The fiscal year opens October 1st. I asked the BOCC, the Board of County Commissioners, to approve the grant request from the Community Foundation. We cut them a check, and then we invite you all to the check reception, usually the first week of November. We encourage you, unlike the events marketing program, who are required to have 100% marketing match, we encourage you to show a match in your budget form that you give us, because that shows that you're putting skin in the game. It shows the reviewers that you're invested in the program. If this program were to go away, you have a way to continue to market yourselves. And then finally, there's going to be a final report due with measurables, and some of you are working on that right now, that you would send to the Community Foundation, and we then are going to share that. It's going to be actually this year, new this year, we're asking you to upload that final report that you're submitting into your grant request for next year. So if you got money current year through this program, not only are you submitting it by deadline, which is current year, May 18th, but since the report's already done, for Ashley's deadline, we're going to ask you to upload it so that the reviewers that review the grant request you submit can see your final report. That's been a difficult thing. There's a lot of requests, sometimes over 40, and the committee is taxed. They want to know what you want to do next year, but it's important for them to also know what you did this year. And we're going to share some documents with you a little later in the presentation that are going to be useful for you in your post-grant reporting next year. You'll remember, some of you, that there were a few changes a couple years ago to the marketing programs here at the Bureau. Attractions in this room used to not be allowed to apply for event funding. They now are. So if you have a multiple-day event in the need period and you're eligible, you can also apply through that program. And there's a maximum of 2 grant requests through the VCB for marketing dollars that an agency could submit. So you could apply for an event, you could apply for year-round attractions marketing, and there are some entities that are applying for 2 events and no attraction money. So that, again, these are showing you how invested the TDC is, that they've changed rules that they had in place for years, because they recognize there's good event organizers out there, but they also have a year-round need for marketing dollars. So they're allowing them to apply through both programs. So we know that those attractions that have been successful through this program are doing a few things. They're doing a lot of things, but these are the things that are important to this program. It's very important for us to measure the return on investment the TDC makes through this program. So one of the things that you've heard this before is that what you do as an attraction enhances the visitor experience, the awareness of the destination. You're collaborating with lodging partners. You may not be doing it on a huge scale, but you're somehow getting your news in the front of lodging partners. You're working towards becoming sustainable, and that happens through partnerships and identifying other revenue streams. You're including the Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel's logo on all the pieces that the TDC is funding. So don't forget, when you're placing a print ad or some type of a marketing piece or rack card, you need to give credit to the Tourist Development Council. You're participating in VCB marketing workshops, monthly social meetups. You might host VCB staff and volunteers, journalists on familiarization tours to your attraction. Very important. If staff here at the Bureau doesn't know you exist, they can't talk about you. We have 4 new people just in the last month. A new sales director on the sales team. We have 2 new communication managers on the PR team. And we have another new marketing manager who hopefully you'll get to meet in a minute. All of these people need to come and visit your attraction, and that's what I tell them every week, as much as I can. There's a few of us that know a lot about you, but there's a lot of us that also need to know that. You need to measure and report back on the effectiveness of what you've done with the Tourist Development Council funds, and that comes through your post-grant report. And then you need to create and maintain listings on our consumer website. Everything that the Bureau does, they have a significant marketing budget. What's our marketing budget, LA? $9 million that's just the ad agency alone. Everything they do, everything we do sends people back to fortmyers-sanibel.com. L.A. Thompson is a marketing manager that's been with us for over a year now, haven't you, L.A.? Not quite a year. But she went through this process with me last year and helped me strengthen the criteria this year, so thank you, LA. And if you have questions about your marketing plan that you want us to help you vet it before you submit, LA is the one that's going to help me look them over. So you need to make good friends with LA. I mentioned a listing on our website. So again, fortmyers-sanibel.com. Everybody that calls the Bureau or clicks through on our website and wants a Lonely Planet guide, by having an event listing, it'll put it on the radar of all of our publications that you exist. So this is going to give you an opportunity to showcase your business to thousands of visitors that are researching this area to visit. It's available to any Lee County business and attraction that provides services or products that are relevant to the tourism industry. And there are just under 200,000 unique page views a month geared toward that website and potentially your business. So this is the link, and all you need to really do is go to fortmyers-sanibel.com, and then there's a partner login or an industry partner login tab on the home page. But that's the rest of it, partner registration. Many of you have a listing already. You might need to edit it. We relaunched the website last year, and things look a little differently. It's much more mobile friendly, but your listing may be outdated, so we would encourage you to check it out. Here's an example of how many views per month are occurring on our website. So you can see attractions, which is most of you, 19,000 page views if your attraction is listing on our site. There's a potential for that. I'm not saying they're all going to look at your attraction, but if you're not there, they're not going to know about you. You also have an opportunity as an attraction partner to post a deal. Some of you are doing that already. And that is being viewed 10,000 times a month. There's partner referrals. You can see the percentages. Most of the people, no doubt, are going to look for a place to stay, but they're also needing to create an itinerary while they're here in town. So they're looking at events, attractions, they're looking at what kind of deals are out there. Here's an example down at the bottom of what an attraction listing looks like. It's a brief snapshot of what they have to offer, and then if you click the details tab, it goes to their page on our website. If you click the website tab, it jumps to your website. So again, they're going to ultimately land on your website if you have a listing on our site. Here's a listing. Oops, sorry about that big circle. Here's a listing for Center for the Arts, Bonita Springs. It was too big to put so that you could read it, so I cut it in half. This is the top part, and this is just all her visuals. Now, if she didn't provide those photos, there's a bunch of photos over in this area here. The more you provide, the better. If you don't provide photos, we're going to use stock photos. It could be a Center for the Arts, Bonita Springs, and just the Lee VCB logo in these spots over here. Or it could be a picture of the beach. It has nothing to do with the Center for Arts in Bonita Springs. So she's provided a beautiful little menage of photos here. There's a link to her website, tells where they are. Then over on this page, an overview. When she's open, maybe the fee to get in. Down the bottom, very important, the events that she's got going on. She had to go in the website a second time and list a couple different events. But now I can tell you our social team, our ad agency, everybody that's helping us market the destination knows a lot more than they did before this listing occurred about the Center for Arts in Bonita Springs. Free. All of that is free for you to do as well. Here's an example of featured attractions. You can pay to be a featured attraction, which just means that should I, as a consumer, pull up a page, I'm visiting, and I want to see what there is to do, and I can filter it by community, Fort Myers Beach, or Bonita, or Sanibel, or I can just look at them all. Well, I don't want to be at the bottom, so if I want to be featured, this is an example of some that have paid to be featured, and they're always going to be at the top of the list, no matter, even if they're not in that community, I think, right, LA? Featured listings are always at the top of the pack. So that is an example of something you can pay for. You don't have to pay for it. You get a free attraction listing. But if you want to pay for it, the one thing I need to remind you of, you cannot use TDC funds to pay for attraction listings. That's like, TDC, push me, pull you, I don't know what that is. But that's a perfect example of something to list on your grant application as a match. I'm going to invest to be a featured attraction on the VCB website, and I'm going to show it as a match in the match column on my grant application. That would be an interesting thing to do. Now, if you're going to ask me how much a featured listing is, I cannot tell you, because that's not something I handle. But at the end of the program, I'm going to give you all the contact names of the right people at the Bureau to help you. And they're available, I think, year-round. You can be a featured listing for a month or a quarter or 6 months. So here's another example of a co-op opportunity. This is an in-state e-newsletter that provides reach for the monthly e-newsletter that we do, and it targets Florida residents that have opted in with us to receive information about Lee County. Your ad would be displayed in the body of the email, and the good thing is there's reporting provided by the ad agency back to you on how many people looked at your ad. That's the kind of measuring that we've been asking for a couple years, and we're going to ask you to do this next cycle for your post-grant reports. We're going to ask you to measure the marketing placements you make. If you were to choose to do a co-op advertising with us, measuring is included. You'd get a report back. So there's an estimated 24,000 sends per month, and every year it increases the more we advertise. And I'm going to try to show you what it looks like. Again, this is an e-newsletter that the Bureau does. And if you were to co-op to pay to participate with us, this is an example of how it comes through. You may be a subscriber to our e-newsletter. Maybe you should send it to people that that live elsewhere. So we scroll down and we can see here's some upcoming events. Edison Festival of Light was featured, Bark on the Ark. We continue to go down, and here is the 38th Bonita Springs National Art Festival. Okay, so those are examples of getting on the front page of an e-newsletter that you might not normally have been included in. Again, you're on our website, that's good. They'll find you eventually, but these are other ways to leverage your participation. A Facebook carousel ad is something new for attractions coming up this cycle, and our co-op advertising program opens usually in August or September. Right before the fiscal year opens. But this is a way to showcase your business and generate website referral leads. Carousel ads target qualified users using custom audiences from Lee VCB databases. And you need to have a good Facebook page to do this one, probably. So that would be something that we can help you take a look at. Make sure that your website is robust, Facebook page is robust enough to participate and invest in this. 60,000 to 100,000 estimated impressions. And the other thing about that is the VCB matches 1-to-1, whatever you spend. So I just wanted to show you real quick. We've been doing this for a little while with resorts, but here's the VCB Facebook page. So again, our followers are almost 700,000. 600,000 followers on our website. So if yours has got more followers than that, then you don't need to do this. But here's the carousel ad. Here we go. So I'm just going to try not to lose it, but here we go. If I click here, enjoy the best about the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. There's an ad from South Seas. South Seas bought into that. There's the Wyndham Garden. So that's what a carousel ad is. It goes back and forth. And it can keep going. Here's Adventures in Paradise, another attraction in the area. So the more that participate, the more you'd click through the carousel. There was only 3 in this example, but I just wanted to show you what that was. Okay, so I know you're really all here to hear about the grant and how to be eligible and what the guidelines are. So about 2 weeks ago, we posted the guidelines as they've been changed, because they have been changed since you may remember, 2 weeks ago on leavecb.com, the attractions funding page. So they are there for you to look at. But I was going to review not every component of the criteria, but just a few of them. I wanted just to remind you of the goal is to provide financial assistance to arts and attractions that enhance tourism opportunities in Lee County. These site-based attractions and organizations provide a different level of service to visitors than events, and by the nature of their existence offer reasons for visitors to extend their stay. And we love when they do that. For eligibility purposes, you must be legally organized as a nonprofit and be an arts, cultural department or division of municipal government. The organization's facilities, programs, or services must be available to visitors throughout the year. However, while an organization major program or service may only occur during a specific time of year, other services and programming should occur and benefit the visitors throughout the remainder of the year. That may sound a little different than in the past, and it is. It does. The organization must have a dedicated administrator responsible for managing. That does not mean a paid staff person. I know many of you do not have that. But there must be a lead administrator for the VCB and the Community Foundation to work with. We've had many organizations over the years, and a lot of people change, so we just need to be notified when that happens. Some of the guidelines, again, these are online, and it's a couple of pages long, so I didn't print it for you today. We will only fund eligible marketing initiatives, and in a minute I'll show you what some of them would be. Partners are required to submit a detailed final report, including specific information about marketing projects, results, additional dollars spent. Of course, you would want to talk about what you spent in addition to what the TDC funded. Copies of invoices and proof of payment. Applicant must show out-of-county visitor participation from organizations' most recently completed fiscal year. So we've been talking about this for 3 years and never made it a requirement. It's very important. But however, some of you have done it on your own, and we appreciate that. Many of you are already counting. There are a variety of ways to do that. That's why we ask for emails at the attraction or at the event or whatever it is that you do. Or zip codes or surveying. So that is going to be a requirement. I think it might be a question on this year's application. If you have the information and you tracked it this past year, go ahead and include it. It'll strengthen your application. But it will be a requirement moving forward. So post-grant reporting, you're going to have to provide that information. Partners will be required to provide specific information about how the out-of-county visitation data is collected. You can use admission ticket sales. You can do surveys. If you're doing surveys, we ask that 25% of visitors at events that are not ticketed be surveyed. So it's unrealistic to survey everyone, but have some kind of a mechanism. Some attractions are putting into place an email survey where they send it to them after their visit. So if you capture their email when they visit you, and then after they leave you, or if I know Susan has tickets at some of her events, maybe you send them a follow-up. How did you enjoy your visit? And can you answer these questions? You know, where are you from? Did you stay in the destination? And if so, how many days? Those are important because, again, the only way we can continue to get this program funded and increase funding, as we have the past few years, is to prove that we are touching out-of-area visitors that are visiting your attraction. And funding is for projects that occur within the designated fiscal year. So again, October 1st, 17 to September 30th of 2018. All printed materials, signage, advertising must contain words or some type of reference to funded by or sponsored in part by the Tourist Development Council. And we have those logos on the website where you're going to go to read these guidelines. Applicants are encouraged to have their marketing or plans reviewed by the VCB marketing staff. That's not a requirement. We're encouraging that. If there's 40 to 45 applications, I'm not sure we can get to everyone. But we know many of you. We know you're doing a great job. Anybody new that might have questions, on what's the best place to make a marketing placement, we're happy to help you. A few of the things that the grant funds may be used for, the production and placement of print, television, radio, and billboard ads is eligible. Digital marketing efforts such as online, social media campaigns, search optimization, and e-marketing. 4 years ago, we wouldn't have had that suggestion in this grant program, but it's very important to recognize how people research their leisure time, whether they're traveling here or they live here and they want to come to see your attraction. You need to take advantage of digital and social marketing efforts. The design construction of a new website or enhancements to an existing website would be eligible. You'd need to qualify why you're doing that, what's changing about your attraction, what's your end goal. We do not fund web hosting fees, or this would be more of an operational expense because it's going to be recurring every year. We can't get set up to continue to fund something ongoing. The printing and mailing and distribution costs for travel guides, attraction maps, rack cards, and any direct mail projects have been funded in the past. Photography and video projects that support an approved marketing campaign. So while we love video projects, we really need to understand how you're going to distribute it and how it's going to benefit the destination and your attraction after you complete the project. We've done several video projects in the past that are fantastic, but we really need to see that, how are we going to measure it. And then we have international marketing opportunities. And again, being aligned with the Bureau, we do things internationally, so that's the best thing you can do is to just make sure that we're aware of you. The sales team that travels the world needs to know about you, and that's accomplished by hosting them at your attraction. This is an example from last year, a suggestion for how to lay out your, perhaps your marketing plan, a budget for a marketing plan that you want a consideration for us to fund. And trying to remember why I included this in the slide. It looks like they were only awarded $6,000 of the total. So I think that the committee decided that TV advertising was way too expensive and that there was other things that they could do socially that would be more effective. So it looks like when you add it up, this, and this, they were allotted $6,000 out of what looked like almost an over $20,000 request. So this would be an example of why you should probably get with the Bureau or Leslie, Ann, or myself as to is this the best choice of marketing pieces to request funding for. Because we can give you a heads up and say, oh, this might not be appealing to them. So that's why I put that slide there, just to remind you that I wouldn't assume that everything you submit your request to funds for is going to get funded. What I'd like to do now is to just real quick share the questions that you're going to see. When the cycle opens on Monday, you are going to either go to leavecb.com, and again, that's at the end of the program, yeah. Or you're going to go to the Community Foundation's website to access it. I have one. This is one of the additions to the application that we're going to ask you to upload for this year. This is new, so we need to kind of discuss this. Thank you. So these questions are not live. You can't get to them yet. On Monday, Ashley's going to push the button on the Community Foundation's portal, and you'll be able to go in and you'll see this exact document. But I thought, why not give it to them now? That way you can be kind of working on a little draft before you... And you have plenty of time. In a minute, we'll talk about the deadline for this request. But you have plenty of time, but that's why we're... sharing it with you early so that you can ask questions with us later if you need to. So I think almost everybody has one. Did we have enough?
Here.
How many did not get one?
Yeah, we're sharing. We're together here. Yeah, we're sharing.
Yes, if there's two people from one agency, maybe you can share. I'm just going to real quick run down. I'm not going to read everything on it. The first section is just our narrative, and again, I'm reiterating a few things that I already mentioned in the presentation. Applications are going to be reviewed and strong consideration given to those applicants that show the following: potential to attract a significant number of visitors outside the region, So while we recognize everybody here enhances a visitor experience, there are some of you that have the potential to attract people from out of the region for whatever reason. You're offering something that can't be found elsewhere. High level of innovation in programming and partnerships, strong marketing plan, track record in producing high quality and effective marketing materials, and so on. Other important factors to include are program description, experience, and financial ability to carry out marketing plan, target audience being served, and specific call to action in the marketing plan. What is it that you want the consumer to do when they read your ad? Marketing message, complete list of marketing plan, and how well the program supports the VCB's marketing initiatives, evidence of strong performance measures, and projects that have collaboration with more than 2 partners. The next area will be the name of the project. The next area is tell us about your attraction. So you're going to do that, as you always do, and you're going to do a good job. But on the second page, how has your attraction helped to enhance the visitor experience? Again, you're all relying on a local audience, I know it. But this committee wants to know how you're going to enhance the visitor experience. So you really need to dive deep into that question and make sure that your attraction meets that criteria piece. We've strengthened the language in that one a lot from last year. Okay, so marketing needs. Describe the specific marketing need you hope to address with this grant and clearly articulate how this project will help promote Lee County as a tourist destination. And as a part of the response for this question, we're going to ask you to upload what you're looking at on the screen right now, Appendix A. If you can imagine a few people on this committee reviewing 45 applications and everybody's marketing plan looks different, we thought it would be better to present to them a template that looks similar. You have the ability on this document, you're going to put your name here. You're going to, if you have design of creative materials, you're going to briefly describe it, and this is a fillable text box. You can go into more detail in the text box on the application, but on this appendix, there may not be as much room. So just briefly describe it. You're going to put the amount you requested, and you're going to put the estimated reach. If you're placing an ad, in a print ad, the publication should be able to tell you what the estimated reach number of impressions is. So you need to include that. Maybe you're not asking for design of creative materials. You would leave the top box blank. Printing production. I know a lot of you are printing rack cards, you're printing flyers for your attraction. Again, brief description, amount requested, estimated reach. And in the narrative, you can say, I plan on sharing it with every chamber in Lee County and Collier County and Charlotte County, wherever, the estimated number of impressions. How many pieces are you printing? And if you're not printing anything or producing anything, you don't need to fill in that box. Ad placement. We hope that everybody is trying this year. It's some type of a media buy. It could be print, it could be radio, it could be TV if you'd like. Again, same thing. You're going to fill in the blank if you're going to do that particular type of marketing. Web development, I know a lot of you like that, and then social. We hope that you try that, and if you do, this is where you would enter it. And then there's a few more boxes that are other. We're going to let you tell us what you want to do. Maybe we didn't mention some of the things that you would like to do. So again, you're going to place the marketing activity, that you would like to use this funding for, briefly describe it, put the amount you'd like to request, and the estimated number, the estimated reach. Okay? So that is Appendix A, which looks new, perhaps, and it will help us when we present the request to the TDC. Is there any questions on that document? Yeah.
Just a quick question, because I'm kind of curious, back to the example you gave earlier, where the TV buys, for instance, $10,000 is really what the pricing that we're getting from TV stations. So what is the committee doing in response to, this is what the market is charging, so how is then that being reflected in the grants and the review process?
So I'm not a reviewer. I review them before they get them. I would have to say that you need to elaborate more on placement, where you're placing the TV ad, and if the purpose of it is to draw visitors, or is it to educate locals? So if it's local TV advertising, I'm not sure that it's going to be any, so it can be both. You know, a lot of times we get good pricing, like Florida Weekly will give us good pricing. We'll pay what it costs to advertise on the East Coast and get a discount for local placement. That's an interesting media placement because I'm going to be talking to people on the East Coast, but I also get to put it in front of my locals. So I'm not sure what happened with your request, John, but I
No, that wasn't my request. It was the example you had up there.
Oh, the TV. I think. Go ahead, Elaine.
What would help too in that instance is because TV is so expensive in terms of a media buy. If you particularly want to use that channel, it would be helpful to justify why that $10,000 should go to X if it's only reaching X amount of people versus perhaps a social ad that could go to 10 times the amount of people and you have more metrics to prove what sort of engagement it has. It's easier to track online advertising than it is TV, but TV does have a lot of reach. But if you particularly want to use that medium, have a strong justification for it because it's so expensive.
But like in the case of like Wink, for example, they can actually quote you and you can choose a particular range. Like when we run all the way up Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Sarasota, and we'll choose a particular range and then we'll bring them in as a sponsor and get them to match it a 1-for-1, and then they actually make the ad for you and do the production for free if you block out certain things. So that extensive reach is okay, right? As long as you subtract out the
I guess
local.
it depends on what it's for. Is it for marketing your attraction for a length of time, or is it for one weekend event?
Right, well, like for an events grant, it would be for the event, but for the attractions and marketing piece, it would be for the organization.
Right.
Yeah.
This particular program, I think, wants to see a more robust length of time for that kind of investment. They want to know that the run of the ad is going to be worth it and getting in front of a lot of eyes.
Right, because like I know that when I saw that $10,000 up on there, that's a lot because we can do a 30-second ad for $250 with Wink.
Right.
So you get a lot of advertising on a match.
Do you have guidelines for the social media tactics?
We can share. So the Bureau does monthly social meetups coming up probably in June, I think. And we typically will do a social marketing workshop, and I was going to ask for that. So we have a pretty new team right now. They're still settling in, like not even a month on the job, the social person. So we do a social media boot camp in the summer every year, and those are the kind of things that we share at those workshops. So we definitely can share a document sooner if you would like, and also part of the participation in getting these grants is to participate in VCB workshops, like social or marketing workshops.
And in the social media workshop, they'll cover the new Facebook piece?
Yes. Sharon?
Follow up on the TV and radio question, because you commented that whether the ad was targeted to visitors or people who live here. I mean, it's both in the same ad. I mean, if you run on the news, for example, our ads are on the news, or prime time, those people who are visiting here are watching, Chicago Justice, or whatever it is they're watching in prime time that they watched at home. So the ad runs there for an attraction for them to do. It's still attracting the visitor. I mean,
Is it?
the same true of radio.
How do you measure those TV ads?
The same way Susan said. I mean, the statistics that come from the TV stations say that on Chicago Justice or whoever, you got this many people.
I know, but how do you know they're coming to your event?
Right. And like Wink
Well, you don't,
yes,
but
where they'll take your same ad and at their expense, they'll translate your ad and do the Spanish voiceover. There are segments that we chose this year to drop in that were exclusively targeted to visitors. They were specifically targeted to programs, and then there were pieces of them that were dropped in for hotel kiosks and stuff like that. So I felt that was applicable because they were specifically, particularly the hotel ones, they were geared for visitors.
Right, I think an incentive in an ad like that to book a room and prove
What
to
to
the
do
event
while you're
organizer
here.
that you booked
Right.
the room would be wildly popular by the committee because there's measurement, there's ROI attached to it. So I think it's just in the presentation of, I mean, I think all of it is doable, but it's how you present it and educate the reviewers that are vetting the applications. Is there any other questions? So I'm just realizing, if I can just finish, that this graph doesn't show your match. We may have to edit this graph for you because earlier I had said, show your match. Again, it's not required, but if you are planning on doing anything on your own, you either need to put it in the narrative, perhaps that's where you put it in the narrative, or we'll add a column for this graph. Did you have a question? Oh, yes.
We've been talking about local and visitors.
Mm-hmm.
How does that apply to people who are here, say, 3 months of the year,
Well,
in terms of promoting within the rental complexity
Right.
of the...
so the purpose, again, of the program is you're enhancing the visitor stay. 3 months or less are bed tax contributors to the bed tax.
3 months or
They're
less.
staying 3 months or less. So, I don't know, if you have information on who the people are, whether they're snowbirds that are sometimes staying longer or visitors, the more information you can provide, the stronger your request will be. So if you can document where the placement is and where the, who your audience is, that would be the way to do it, I suppose. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
You sure? Was there another question in the back of the room now?
Just to be clear on that one, if they're here longer than 3 months out of a season, they're not considered visitors?
Tourist tax is through, I think, short-term stays. Yeah. Snowbirds just typically aren't considered unless they're just staying here 3 months or less.
Would you say that a little louder?
Bed tax, they only collect tourist tax from rental properties that are offering short-term, that if they're staying 6 months, you don't have to pay bed tax on that. Go ahead.
If you are putting in a match, do you want the match to the bottom line of the budget of all the items, or do you want the match per line item?
You might, if you're sharing, if it's a marketing match, that's very attractive to the committee.
I guess the reason I asked is
Not everybody in this group matches with marketing.
the example you gave us of the $10,000 that they didn't want to fund the television, they thought that was too expensive. If we had just requested $5,000 and a $5,000 match for television and they had turned it down, but other items in that line, in that budget, were attractive, I guess my question is it better to just say the total budget for this project is $20,000 and we are matching with $10,000 for all items?
Yes, knowing that they may come back if
Say we'll fund this and not
this. That they don't want to fund, and then you would just adjust your part.
Okay, thank you.
If you wanted to do it all. Okay? All right, so back to the form. There are questions after you've uploaded that form and presented what you'd like to request funding-wise to answer about how to make the project successful, including out-of-town attendance goals, any hotels that you shared your information with, social media engagements. The second form is the form that we've come up with, kind of like a performance indicator for goal-setting purposes. So you haven't seen this before. This is new. The first one is a performance indicator for out-of-town attendance. What is your goal for 2017-18? You'd insert your goal here, and then when you do your post-grant report next spring, you're going to insert the result here. And then you're also going to tell us how you're going to go about counting out-of-town attendance. Surveys, ticket sales, coupons, whatever it might be, okay? Similarly, website traffic, click-through rate, e-news open rate, if you have a website and you can measure these things, you're going to enter your objective for the upcoming fiscal year, the results, and then it's easy. That's why I talked a little bit about those co-ops, because there are analytics that are going to be provided to you. And those of you that have a website and you manage it, you know that you can get Google Analytics. So that's another example. Not all of these things might you do. Brochure rack rate distribution, what's your objective? I want to distribute 50,000, 20,000 of them outside of Lee County. Next year, when you do your post-grant report, you're going to give us the results, and you're going to tell us how you get it. Visitor satisfaction levels, that's an interesting one. You're all doing that, I'm sure. You're getting feedback some way. So you might enter, increase visitor satisfaction by 10%, or move forward with, pursue a 5 TripAdvisor rating or something, whatever it might be. And this is where you put that one. Number of hotel restaurant partner packages sold, that's a little bit more difficult to achieve, but we would love to, you might want to say number of hotel restaurant partner collaborations for a specific attraction. I know Susan works with the hotels in her community on a regular basis. She can list the number of hotels that she's partnered with, perhaps to host some of the acts that she's bringing in for her attraction, and then whether she met or did not meet, bringing hotel guests to her attraction. Social media engagement is the last one. And again, there are open boxes at the bottom. Every attraction in business has goals to set and meet each year. It's how we continue to improve. So this is where we want you to enter them. So this year, you're just going to fill in this column when you submit your request. That's all you're going to fill in. Then we're going to save it, and you're going to turn it back in to the Community Foundation with this box filled. Sorry, you may have to do that too when you're submitting. So got that? This is, again, we've been asked to strengthen the criteria, strengthen the program so that the BOCC can see the return on investment, and this, we believe, is a good way for us to show them how you did. Any questions on that chart? These are going to be in the portal where your application is. You're going to need to download them, fill them out, and then upload them back into is that the way yours works?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, there's a link to it. You click on it, it'll pop up as a Word document. You download it, fill it out, upload it back.
Yep. So
Interactive, so you,
You have to download it first, save it on your
and then
computer,
save it, and then you can go ahead and attach it.
It's not like update live.
okay, there's a few more questions at the back that are required just to prove who you are as far as being a nonprofit. So, it's been a couple years. I told you it was going to change and maybe get a little stricter, and it did just a little bit. And again, this is the first year that we're going to implement this. There may be tweaks that we need to make as we move forward. We appreciate you letting us test it on you. I think in the end, it'll strengthen a lot of the grant applications. Some may fall out. Some may say no longer able to do this or applicable. Here's the timeline. We are here today, April 25th. The application cycle opens on Monday. We are available. I'm going to give you our emails in just a second if you need us. Again, thank you to the Community Foundation for administering the program with us. We really appreciate it. They don't have to do that. Lee County has no way of providing you your grant funds up front. If I was to manage the program the way I manage all the other funding programs here, you would have to expend your own money and wait to get reimbursed. So that is not a desirable solution for me or you, because there's a lot of you. So we appreciate them. Deadline for your request to be submitted to the Community Foundation is June 26th. The request will then be reviewed by a committee, which is in production right now. We are revamping the committee a little bit. And we will then submit the request to the BOC, first the Community Foundation for approval and the Board of County Commissioner. During September's budget approval process, they have to approve the VCB's budget. They don't actually look at every one of your requests, although I do provide it as backup, but they have to say, yes, VCB, we're going to give you what you want for 18's budget, and the Attractions Marketing Program is a part of that. You will be notified as soon as the fiscal year opens on whether you've gotten some funds, and in November, you're going to be invited to a check reception if you were awarded any funds. And then again, in May of 18, your post-grant report is due. I did want to mention that on June, what's the date of the June TDC meeting? I think the 11th. Ashley will come to the TDC meeting in this room and request the funds, the $350,000, for next year's funding. Every year, there's a few of you that do me a huge favor by coming up during public comment and saying thank you to the TDC. Some of the TDC don't know some of you. So if you would like to be one that joins us, public comment occurs right at 9 a.m. And I believe it is June 11th. Let me check. It's always the second Tuesday of the month. It's June 8th. Wow, I was way off. So June 8th, in this room, if anybody would like to say thank you to the TDC, this is what my attraction means to Lee County, this is what my attraction means to the tourists that visit, we invite you to do so. You don't have to make RSVP for that. It's like 1 minute, 2 minutes tops. And likewise, some of you have come and made presentations in front of the TDC, lengthy ones, PowerPoint presentations. They love that. That you do need to let me know in advance, at least 2 months in advance, and I'll put you on the agenda. And we'd love for your attraction, when you're ready, to, maybe you remodeled or maybe you did something new, you're welcome to share your story with them, because they're the ones that approve this funding. We're just staff. Okay? Here is the portal. This is the web address on my website. You're going to go to leavecb.com, click on the Funding Programs tab, and there's 3 funding programs. You want to click into the Attractions Marketing, and on that page you can download the guidelines that I read some of. I didn't read the whole packet. And you can also click through to the application on Ashley's site, or you can go directly to the Community Foundation's website on Monday. You can work on your request, which is similar to the document I just gave you, and you can save it as a draft and go back in. You don't have to click submit. You have until that deadline that I gave you. And lastly, this is the team, oops, I covered up Josh's name, at the VCB, and I can make this PowerPoint available to you. I have cards if you need mine. I manage the program. L.A. Thompson is a wealth of marketing information. She's very brilliant, and I would love for her to look at your request, and I know she'll make time to do that. Courtney Herschel is brand new on the team. Did Courtney come down? Courtney's managing our social media campaign, so if you are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you need to also be tweeting and talking to the VCB so that we know of you. And Josh Lambert is our intern extraordinaire. If you have a problem with your listing, or you need to get in and edit it, or you don't have a listing, he is the one that will help you. He's become very familiar with our website. And he didn't come down either, did he? Okay, so maybe he's not extraordinary, but just kidding. Lastly, Elizabeth Escribano with MMGY Global, who is our ad agency. She's right down here in Fort Myers, downtown. She manages the co-op program. So if you think you want to try co-op, you never have before, I can't even tell you how much it costs because I don't know. Elizabeth will have that answer. There have been attractions in this room that have opted in for a 2-month run as the featured event or the featured listing, and she can really help you navigate that world. We have a workshop here in August to explain the co-op program. Again, you can't use the funding that you're requesting from TDC for that, but it sure is a good way to become familiar with reporting from a professional ad agency and just learning about that whole world. So we're here pretty much all the time. If you ever have questions, is there any questions right now that I can answer? No? Really? I hope we didn't scare anybody. So what happens right now, they're all doing their post-grant reports for current year funding, and the year's not over. So what a lot of people, so what I say is you need to update in your post-grant report, you need to update the committee on what you've done thus far, what your timeline is, and hopefully you've spent some of it, but yeah, we would love to just get an update from you. And we can talk offline a little bit more about it. I'm not sure that I've ever seen it, you've got the money. It's not like, you're waiting to be reimbursed. So we would hope that the bulk of it's spent in that fiscal year. Yeah, right. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
So I noticed on there that you want 25% feedback from like large functions.
25% of the people, yeah.
People. So you got an event for 1,000 and you want 250 responses per day.
Per day?
Well,
Is that what it said?
if you're getting 1,000 people a day, for a 3-day event, you're getting 250 each day. Or is it?
I don't think it's per day. I have to look at it again, Teresa. I think if you were expecting 60,000 people through your venue for that event or that show.
It's 25% over the course of the entire event, not per day.
Over the course of the whole event.
They get 1,000 one day and they get 500 another.
Right,
At the end of the
So just out of curiosity, do you have a way right now, or do you have somebody that's doing that in a efficient manner that could share that with us?
Anybody in the room?
Surveying, we're sending volunteers out to survey whoever's coming in for art festivals or whatever.
And that's exactly the way we do it, with an iPad.
Oh,
I have a problem with them. We've done iPads. We'll have 85 to 90,000 people downtown. That is 45, that is 20,000 surveys. We've done really well to get 1,000 or 1,200. I don't even know how to do 20,000.
So maybe that's too many. That's why I'm saying these are suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, 200,000 at a parade.
I'm just doing the math back here.
And then we don't even have full-time staff.
Are you touching them later after the event, Teresa, like via email? Are you capturing?
It depends on the kind of event, but for the big ones where they come in with no ticket sales or just walk in the theater, no, we're physically out with people, volunteers, with a paper board, a clipboard with paper on it, and they're filling it out. And I'm going to tell you, 25% is a lot.
Okay.
Because a lot of people walk away from you, and a lot won't share their email. So that creates another problem, just something we need to think about. And if you come up with an efficient way, I'd be really happy to hear it.
Incentives. If they go online and fill out a form, they get the opportunity to win free tickets or a T-shirt or a memorable blah, blah, but it's one way to drive them and entice them to fill it out.
But to piggyback on that, we tried online surveys this year and it was mandatory. We weren't getting any questions answered. So we had to make it not mandatory in order, so we do have some information. We don't have 25% of the ticket buyers because you couldn't make it mandatory and then they couldn't buy the tickets.
So what do you think is a reasonable number? 10? 5? Some attractions haven't done it at all yet, so.
I say shoot for 25, but be happy with whatever you do.
Well, if it's unrealistic, those of you that have big events think it's unrealistic, then it probably is unrealistic for smaller events. Okay, well, we'll look at that before Monday, and there may be an edit. Go ahead, Lisa.
Nancy, we put out comment cards too, because we can't survey everything by ourselves. If you just put a comment card down, different locations, and then have a drop-off spot, or look on TripAdvisor, or look on Yelp. I mean, I gather all these variety of sources, so it definitely help a little bit.
Right.
Or maybe on your website, you have some place where you can put a survey, and say who attended. I mean, I think you could just get a little more creative rather than have, try to survey 25,000 people.
What's the objective of what you're trying to find out?
Where the people are coming from, if we're touching out-of-area visitors.
Right.
Visitors.
That I think just speaking for us, I think we do that really well, but I don't think we need 25%. I'm not aware of any marketing company that would say you need 25% to have a valid survey. ballot survey is going to be at 3-4%, as long as you haven't biased it by offering incentives and you haven't only walked up to the elderly people or the little children.
Our direct mail is 13% on a response for just a general survey. But I guess I'm wondering, I think 25% is unrealistic. However, in our case, we get to that percentage, but we survey on many different levels and in many different ways. So you get that overall for your whole numbers. Like say, if your grant is to cover a film festival, 3 art festivals, and it's to cover an international series of yada yada, and across all of that, you're surveying, I mean, we survey like 12 different ways for all kinds of things that they do, whether they're there personally, whether it's online, whether they sold a ticket, whether they filled out a form, whether our people have jotted something down by not taking their phone number nor their email address, but asking them, do they live in Lee County? And if not, would they mind telling us where they live? That's all we want to know. So when we accumulate all of that data and all those different ways, you can get to a percentage. But I would have no idea how for one specific thing they would get to 25%.
Okay.
There's just no way.
The only objective is that they're visitors, right? That's the only objective?
We are constantly asked when there's so I added on the Lee VCB funding page for attractions marketing, I added the list of all the attractions that have ever gotten funding through this program. And we've been questioned on, they really, like, why are we giving them money? Are they touching visitors? Like, how, so we're looking for ways to qualify every attraction that gets funding that is touching visitors. So that's where we need your help.
Just getting to know that they're a visitor, it's a whole lot easier. I'm not sure about 25% still.
Yeah, because they won't give you anything else.
Versus surveying and.
People are so nervous today.
And all that, there's just.
But this is a visitor from more than 2 hours away, right?
And for less.
Hopefully it's a visitor that's spending time in a hotel. That's how the program is funded. If we don't continue to you guys don't continue to touch visitors that are spending
We physically have to. Are you staying at a hotel with us, or are you a snowbird, or you can ask that.
right. We just want to know if you could just ask them. Let's not worry about the percentage right now. Not everybody, a lot of you are, but not everybody is asking that question, and it worries me. So they would love to give all the money to just a few that are doing a good job of that. That would affect everybody in this room. We know you're doing a great job. We know you're touching them. You got to ask them. And you got to somehow put that back in your report. How many of you are on TripAdvisor? Do you even know if people have rated you? Use those results in your application. Talk about, brag a little bit. Talk about what awards you've gotten. Use your ranking on TripAdvisor. And if you're not, maybe we need to have TripAdvisor in to educate some of the attractions that that don't take advantage of it, because it's pretty powerful. Would you say, LA? I think TripAdvisor's one of the first places people are going to see, would I want to go there? What are other people saying about it? So just keep that in mind. So we appreciate Susan and Sharon and John bringing that up, because we've looked at a lot of other models for funding programs, and we're not sure we're done. It's still a work in progress, but it's come a long way from where it was. It's what we've been asked to do. What you've seen implemented is what we've been asked to do. So
And I'm sorry to talk so much. Normally I'm...
Don't apologize.
This is an issue. What if for those people who would say, in this room, for example, I have no idea how we would find out whether those people are in-state and out-of-state. What if the only single thing you did was to create a counter card that 3 or 4 hotels within your small circumference area would be willing to place, and your hotel let you know out of the 150 cards that you gave them last month that lists what you've got going on that month, that they handed them all out.
Right. Well, that's the distribution on that.
Because again, that's the distribution, but it's also the fact that those people are automatically out of your zone, so that number would be eligible, correct? Or because it's not a survey, it's not counted.
No, I think we would take that. How did you hear about us? it's a simple question to ask, and then you can say, 5% of my people heard about us from the hotel down the road, and there you go. I lost my train of thought, but we know that you're doing a great job, but we just need to show it in writing a little bit better, that's all. So we're here if you need us. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to stay. I don't want to hold the whole group. Was there any other questions? Okay, we appreciate it, and make sure you signed in, and if you need your parking pass validated, Lisa has a pass stamp over here. You can have mine. Sorry.
Here's my card. Yeah, oh, I know. Want to promote. You guys do a lot.
I have roughly 1,400 people that go to my door every day, okay? Like even when I want to promote something, I do the little 4-ups.
Where they are now.
Here, then you give them out.